Alec, how you doing?
I am swell.
You're a delay. You're a lag.
I'm dandy. I'm hopefully not so far behind that I can still understand you.
God, it's getting slightly robotic already. It's
Oh
fine.
no.
Oh God.
Woo! All right, let's do this.
Oh
Let's jump
God.
in.
And we have Pestro here with us, longtime friend of the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me here again.
Yeah, so we was just here with the Gents Challenge video. We talked about video games, and in this video, we're going to talk about all of the movies, TV shows, and video games we enjoyed in the month of September. So
Our
first,
monthly recap.
oh jeez,
Oh no. Am I screwing everything up?
it just surprises me. They never
I
know
should
when you're
just
going
go.
to speak.
Yeah, you're always on your toes when it comes to this. I don't know what's going on. This is even more crazy than it normally is.
All right, so let's start with movies. Anyone see any good movies in the month of September?
Yes.
Yes, someone had to. All right.
So is it only like new movies or any movie that
Any
we've
movie
seen?
you watched in September?
Yeah, any highlights or anything like that you have?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually saw the best movie that I've seen in my entire life in September.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm actually serious.
Wow.
No, I saw a movie called Brazil from 1985.
Okay.
And I hadn't even heard of the movie actually, but my coworker, he said that, trust me, we have to watch this movie. Like, there's no like questions. Like, we have to watch it. And I was kind of like, oh, all right, whatever, we'll watch it. But yeah, it was crazy how good it was. Okay. How would I describe the movie? It's a very complex movie, I would say. It's definitely not like a popcorn flick. You have to really think when you watch the movie, and I think there's a lot of parallels to. So the movie is called Brazil, but it's actually a cyberpunk-ish setting. It's not cyberpunk per se, but it has that retro modern feel to it, and it's a futuristic society from, during the 80s. So I have some theories on why it's called Brazil, because it doesn't take place in Brazil, and there's nothing. They don't even mention Brazil in the movie itself. But I think because it's very like, it talks a lot about society, and it shows like what our society could be in the future if we keep going down this path. And I have some friends, some coworkers from Brazil, and what they've told me about Brazil seems to reflect pretty much an extreme version of that society in some ways, especially with the bureaucracy and other things like. But the movie is about a regular guy trying to do the right thing, and the society is the setting is very. If everyone follows the protocol and goes by the books, then everything will be fine. As long as we do what we're being told, we're living happy lives, and it goes to really like extremes a lot of times. But it follows this man who's trying to do the right thing, but then due to certain events, he ends up not doing the right thing, I guess, and it follows basically his path from there. And yeah, it's a very interesting movie. I can't say anything because if I say anything, it's gonna spoil it. So I don't want to. I want to kind of leave it at that. But it's really cool. The cinematography was amazing. Robert De Niro is in the movie actually as well. He plays like a sidekick role. It's before Robert De Niro actually was famous, interestingly enough. And there's also that guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. I forget his name.
Johnny Depp,
No.
Orlando Bloom.
Jonathan Pryce, is that his name? I think so.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so he's like the main character in the movie.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, he did an amazing job, I think, as well. And no, it's great. But it's yeah, I can't say too much because I can't spoil it. But it foreshadows internet and all these things basically, and it's really cool.
Alec and I will be talking about that next week.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, it sounds like a new recommendation for a movie. Yeah. Is it like on Netflix? Is it streaming, or did you like rent it digitally or something? Or
I trust my friend that he always goes through legal sources of obtaining his films, so I don't question these things.
Okay. Of course.
Because
all right.
but yeah, I think he had it on his computer and watched it there. So I don't.
Okay, so all we need is a computer to obtain it.
Yeah, I
Theater
mean, we do
by
have
some means.
we do have the magic of the internet. Yeah, if there's a
Yeah, it might actually be on Netflix in the US because Canadian Netflix has a smaller selection.
yeah,
So
darn you Canadians. And my brother lives in Canada, so he often is frustrated by that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I enjoy a good thinking man's movie.
Yeah, me too.
it's very complex. It really is, and I don't see that there will be any way that anyone will be disappointed in watching it because it's truly fantastic. Like everything is basically the progression of the storyline. It's very unexpected also, but I think maybe see it's hard to say when you recommend things because you always have your own perspective, and I think parts of why I like the movie maybe because I remember things from like early 90s that you can see that they're using that things to, you know, some of those concepts, they were kind of extrapolating them. So I don't know if you're not from that time period, I don't know if it's going to be like have the same effect. I don't know. So that would be, but I know you guys are like, you know what's up.
Oh, yeah.
but you know what I mean.
Culturally
it's always
savvy.
hard. It's always hard to recommend because there's so many factors. But I do think I have a hard time seeing that anyone will be disappointed because it really was great. And the way the story unfolded, and you know the way it's very like society like driven movie. Like it really makes you think about a lot of things that I wouldn't, you know, stuff you do day to day, and you're kind of like that's kind of I don't like that, but you don't really think about it too much. And the movie kind of highlights a few things. You're like, oh, actually, that could actually happen if we, you know, keep going this way. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that I thought was really cool. And I think it was great. And,
Cool.
should I keep going with other movies, or do you guys want to
What else
chime
you
in?
got?
Okay, so yeah, that was a long spiel there. Apologize. For more recent stuff, I watched It Part 2 in the theaters 2 weeks ago, I think. So I think I saw the first one, the remake. I saw the original as a kid, I remember. And I remember seeing half of the movie, and I just shut it off. I was just, nope. I'm not doing this. And then I went back later and rewatched it. But seeing the remake now, I actually think the first one, I think they did a fantastic job. I really think that it's way better than the original. And part 2, I think it was not as good as the first one. It's different. Like it's not as scary, I felt, but it had more comedy as well. But I do think, because I don't know if you guys have read the book, but the way they've kind of laid out the storyline with the films is very different. So it's not a spoiler because but like the first movie takes place when they're kids and part 2 takes place when they're older. Mm-hmm. But in the movie, those two events are happening at the same time. So it shifts constantly between when they were kids and when they were older. So in a way, it's kind of, they really deviated from the books in that regard. But I think it made sense for the sake of the movie because otherwise it would be really confusing. So I do think it was a fantastic movie though. But I would see it in the theater. If you're not seeing it in the theater, I think it's definitely a great movie, but it's I wouldn't go out of my way to like you have to watch this. It's a must watch. But I think currently in the theaters, it's probably one of the better ones. Well, maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not a good one actually. That's on right now. But yeah,
I really wanted to see that, and it's not in theaters or here anymore. Yeah, I was really bummed. I haven't seen a Tarantino film in the theater since Django Unchained, and I know I missed out on Hateful Eight. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. I couldn't get around to it. So.
Wait, so you still haven't seen Hateful Eight?
Nope, still haven't.
All right, well, we'll talk about it next week.
So for Once Upon a Time, actually, there's a 4-hour director's cut that's coming to Netflix though.
Oh Jesus!
The one on the theaters is 3 hours or 2:45
That's
because
not long
it's
enough.
Yeah, but I guess they do have an. So here's my theory, because the movie was actually shown in 7mm in the theater, so there's no commercials before because it's 7mm film. So I think there was a limitation. I'm guessing, like if it would be longer, they would have to do an intermission and switch the tapes. That's what I suspect. But that's why it's the length it is. Because I do feel like it's a great movie, but it felt a little bit incomplete. So I'm actually really looking forward to the director's cut to see what they did there.
Yeah, he's one of the few people that still shoots on film.
Keeping it true.
Yeah, it's really great. I love visionaries. You know, you can say what you will about Tarantino, but he has a vision, and he always sticks to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I really want to see that, but I mean, It Chapter 2, which was the movie in question, I also have not seen either of the It movies, so
yeah,
I'm really I'm very inexperienced when it comes to horror movies in general.
The most I know about It is basically what the Red Letter Media guys have said about it, because they did a review of when Part 1 came out. They did a review of the TV movie and It Part 1, and then they came out with a review of Part 2 recently as well. So, yeah, I don't know. It does kind of fascinate me, just because of spooky clowns scare me. It's kind of like the zeitgeist of our culture. It's got a creepy clown in it. It's already kind of intriguing. But maybe sometime down the line I'll see it. But it's not one I'm jumping to, I guess.
Yeah, I think the first one is definitely I would recommend it. It's actually really good. And then if you really liked it, then Part 2 is definitely, it's not as good, but it's still a very good movie though.
Yeah. I'll give it. Yeah, I might give it a shot at some point. I did want to see Part 1 at the very least, because I heard the kid acting was amazing in it. So I like good kid actors. So yeah.
I see. Makes sense.
Yeah, I realize it sounded a little creepy, but I can appreciate the talent on display when you're a younger person, and I like that. That's cool.
All right.
It's real cool.
Okay. Any other movies? Anybody have any other movies to talk about here?
Go for it.
Do you have anything else?
But I've talked for long enough, so go.
Okay.
Go for it.
I went and saw Ad Astra, with Brad Pitt.
All right. I knew nothing about this.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that to me is probably the perfect means to go see this movie, because I knew basically nothing about it other than what was in a 15-second TV spot, and I was like, hey, cool, it's a space movie, it's got Brad Pitt in it, cool, I'm gonna go see it. Well, here's the thing, I almost feel like that ad misled me. A 15-second TV spot misled me into what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a much better and smarter film than I thought it was going to be.
Oh.
Which, I mean, I was expecting maybe Interstellar type sort of things, and I like Interstellar a lot. It was a very introspective, psychological, really focusing on Brad Pitt's character a lot. That's what pretty much the whole movie focuses on, and it's sort of just framed in with the sci-fi, through that lens of science fiction. And I loved it. I thought it was really great. Because I was getting something fresh and not just the same old sci-fi action schlock, which seems to be what I mean. I like that too, but I like the more recent trend toward a lot more intellectual science fiction, I guess you could say, with stuff like Arrival. Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite films of all time.
That movie's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I have things to say about the original film, as in I don't think it's as good as people say. I think 2049 is a masterpiece though. But yeah,
I never thought that they'd be able to match the original, but man, they killed it.
Yeah, it's an achievement. So Ad Astra it's a smaller film, I guess you could say. It feels a lot more personal, because it's all really focused a lot more on the character that Brad Pitt plays in the film, and I really liked it. It was very thought provoking. Me and my dad both really. We often, when my mom's out of town, we will often try to go see a movie. And it's funny because it's always seems to be a sci-fi movie that's playing this time of year that we go see. Because we went and saw Interstellar back when that came out and stuff. So, and we both really enjoyed it. And I was actually, I guess shouldn't be surprised when I was looking. It got amazing critical reviews. It's a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the fan reaction is a 61 or a 60. And I was I can kind of understand that, because I don't think it's a film. It's not a film for just I don't think it's really a film for everybody. It's not going to be for someone looking for an action film in space or anything like that. It's a thinker, and it's good. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Other than that, me and my folks have been going through. I don't remember if we started in August. I don't remember. But we've been going through the James Bond films in order.
Nice.
I got a Blu-ray collection last November, and all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? We should go through these. We just finished watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, talking about good intellectual science fiction, and I was like, okay, well, what do we do next? And I was like, let's go through all the James Bond movies in preparation for the next one that's coming out next year sometime. I don't even remember when it's coming out. And I've never done that before. I've never seen I haven't seen every single James Bond film. I've been a fan since I was a little kid, but I've never I've never gone through all of them before. And we've made it up to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is now in the ranks of one of my very favorite James Bond films. I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's often overlooked because George Lazenby was kind of that was his one film as James Bond, and it was just coming off of Sean Connery, who is beloved in the role. But man, James Bond has a character arc in that movie, which is kind of amazing. James Bond is sort of just like, I mean, you could kind of just say he's a projection of male fantasy in some ways. But like he actually like grows and like learns and stuff. It's like, it's a great film. Like, I thought it was just like really, really good movie.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Yeah. And we also watched some of the other ones, or the ones before that with Connery. Thunderball, which I had never seen before ever, because they almost never play that one on TV, because that has weird licensing problems or something, with who has the distribution rights or something like that. I want to say like 35 to 40% of that movie is shot underwater. It's incredible. Like, it's a technologically, or maybe just logistically, it's such an impressive movie in terms of the special effects and how long of time is spent underwater. And I think maybe that's why it's not for everybody, because it's like a lot of it is just like stuff happening underwater, and you know anything about underwater, it's a little slower than what's happening up in the air. So, but I really liked that. I thought it was fun, and I really liked. There hasn't been one yet that I haven't really enjoyed, which is good, because I know that those are coming.
What's that? Moonraker.
Well, yeah, that's coming eventually. Oh man.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, if you're going back and watching all of them, because I've seen all of them too, but you should while you're on the marathon, there's also Ian Fleming's, the author of the James Bond novels, and he actually did a movie because he was actually a spy too, and it's kind of like a projection of a lot of characters from his personal life, but obviously to the extremes. So there's actually a movie about when he was a spy, and like it's kind of like a fictional film, but it's based on a true story, kind of.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a look. I know a lot of it. Like, I mean, that's kind of the joke, because I think that's a lot of what the James Bond films became. Like, I like or at least the first Pierce Brosnan one. I like GoldenEye, but like he almost became like a comic book character then. Like, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean like the bad perspective of a comic book character. Where I liked the fact that the Connery films are very, very much, even though there's the technological stuff, the gadgets and stuff, a lot of them are really grounded in pretty real world politics, which I really like 60s era politics, and I love that stuff. I think it's just so fascinating, and that's kind of what I've really enjoyed. They're a lot more grounded, and he's a lot harsher and grittier than I think people seem to remember. Connery as Bond, because I mean, he's got the quips, and of course he's the handsome Scotsman. But yeah, no, he's definitely still, he does have an edge to him, for sure. So
everyone usually prefers Roger Moore, but honestly, I really like Sean Connery movies. Actually, I agree with you 100%. Actually,
that's interesting. I've actually come across very few people who like Roger Moore as Bond.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Well, yeah. Well, maybe when we get to your interview, when I finally have watched the one where he becomes a clown at the very end of the movie in like the final action sequence, and he's in like a clown makeup. I've heard that. I don't know what one that is, but all I know is that happens, and I can't wait for it because that just sounds horrible. Anyway, that's been fun. I really like even the bad ones are still enjoyable. So I've been having, and I haven't watched a bad one yet. So, but I've been having a good time doing that. So look forward to more of that in the month in review.
Come, yes.
The years to come.
How many movies are there in total?
There's 25. Yeah, there will be 20. There will be 25 with the newest one that comes out, which I think is No Time to Die or something like that. I think is what it's called. A lot of movies over the years.
And I've seen none of them, so that's.
You've seen none of them?
None of them.
That's amazing to me. I don't know. Especially the newer ones. The newer ones are really good. I like those a lot. I know some people are not as big on them, but I think they're great.
All right, well, I'll watch them all. Report back next week.
I think the Timothy Dalton one is a little bit underrated too, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy that one. It's very different though.
The two he was in. Those are actually movies I've never seen. I've never seen a Timothy Dalton one. So I'm looking forward to that because those are ones that I've totally slipped me by over the years. So
yeah, I think that's the case for most people actually. It's funny you mentioned the Ad Astra movie, by the way, because my coworkers today, or right now, are actually seeing it in the theaters, and they asked me if I wanted to tag along, and I was like, "Oh, I can't."
Ooh.
Oh man.
But and now you're like, "Oh, it's the best movie ever." I was like, "Oh no."
I mean, I didn't think it was the best movie ever.
No,
I did enjoy it. I thought it was good.
There's one more that I did see, which this is So I saw a movie called Primer from 2004, and I had never even heard of the movie. And apparently,
never. Oh.
So my coworker told me that this movie was made on a budget of $7,000, and he wanted to see if it's possible to make a film with such a low budget.
Oh.
And he had a script. He was an engineer. He had a script that was super elaborate. The storyline is the most galaxy brain complex storyline I think I've seen. So I watched the movie, and I was kind of like, at the end, like, huh. So I looked online, and there's like charts, and it's all diagrammed out, and it's really dense. Like it's really, but the problem with the movie is that if I explain what it's about, it spoils the point of the movie. So it's one of those like I can't say anything about it because that would kind of ruin it. It's so strange. It's a really weird movie. So quality wise, it's really, you can tell it's low budget. And at first I felt like it looked like they didn't use like white balance and stuff when they filmed a lot of stuff. But when I started realizing that it's a more complicated movie than what appears to the eye, I realized that those filters are probably intentional actually, and they're a part of what they're trying to portray. And it's really, I don't know if I can say anything more actually. It's a very interesting movie, but I wouldn't I would probably you have to be kind of sharp to see it. You can't just like casually watch it.
Mm-hmm. All thinking men movies. We've Pestro only watches the most intellectual movies. You need a certain IQ.
For the finest Scotch in town, yes. Cigar. Put on my monocles and
All right. Well, I haven't seen any movies this month, so let's move on.
Hey, that was easy.
Actually, I gotta pee real quick. I'll be back.
I was gonna say, hey, I actually have some Crown Royal Maple. Is that the finest whiskey you've ever...
nice.
I love the maple finish stuff. It's great.
All right, so let's talk about TV, right?
Okay.
All right, so this is something I can talk about. I've been slacking on my movies, so I've also been slacking on my TV as well. Really, I have so many shows I'm in the middle of that I've been watching over the past few months to a couple of years that I'm need to finish up, but I haven't gotten around to. But mainly my focus this month was watching Making a Murderer, which is like one of the biggest Netflix documentaries out there. Which, I mean, you've probably heard of it by name at least, if nothing else. This is after we watched my mom and I kind of are watching documentaries now. It's just our new thing. We watched The Staircase last month, and so we're just moving on all these all these documentaries about murders, and that's just what we're into these days.
Real happy subject matter.
Yeah, it's just really fascinating to me. All this documentary especially is like about so much corruption and possibly a false conviction, but that's kind of the center of the whole movie. Is like, did this man? I don't even want to give you the details because it'd spoil it. But you should watch it if you're interested at all in murder mysteries, murder cases, anything revolving murder. If you're a murderer, you'd probably like this movie as well.
100%. We're murderer approved here on the Tarqaron.
But it's just really fascinating. Those kinds of movies or those documentaries where it's and just very it's this is probably like a go-to example of how to do a documentary in like the modern age as well. Like I had a documentary class in college where they talked about this, but like they just really display how you should go about documentaries where they'll like any person that possibly comes up that should be relevant to the case they're talking about. They're interviewing them. They're going out to locations and like they'll be in their office interviewing them. Anyone that's willing to speak basically on the topic, and they like you really when you're a documentary crew like that, you have to really just like ingratiate yourself and like being a part of these people's lives for like potentially years to get the product you need. But it's really fascinating the journey you go through from you seeing the defense team compiling stuff outside of the courtroom, and then you see some footage from the courtroom and everything coming together. Other than that, the only main show I've watched is Big Brother, which is similar. So it's the same
Very
thing.
similar, yeah. Pretty much.
Big Brother's been really interesting this season, but that's another thing you can only really talk about with people that watch it, because it's not really relevant to people outside of that. I also started last night. I watched a bunch of episodes of Chuck.
Oh my gosh! Oh man, that's bringing me back to high school. Remember Chuck?
Yeah, I'd never seen it. I only watched like one episode a couple months ago. I'm like, all right, this is interesting, but I mean, nothing outstanding. But then I went back and it was kind of addicting. I was just watching episode after episode. And I'm hoping that'll kind of be my go-to show now, I think. Even though I have all these other ones to watch, I think I'll try to just like focus on one at a time. It might be better. I think I can power through this one. So it's a comedy. That's all you really need to know about it. But yeah, it's not the best comedy I've seen, and it's not the best show I've seen so far. It's the first few episodes, but it's like very like cheesy moments, but it's fine. Also, there's I won't get into it. But you've seen it? Have you seen all of it, or have you just seen?
That was what's his name? Who's the actor in that?
Zachary Levi.
His name's slipping. Yeah, that's it. That was like his first big thing.
Yeah.
That was like his first. So I remember that. That was great.
Yeah, it's part
of that, and then it was like, oh, he's entangled. Like, whoa, the guy was in Chuck is entangled.
Oh, I didn't even know that was him.
And now he's Shazam. Yeah, he was a fun writer.
Okay, but have you seen Chuck?
He can sing. Yeah, I watch. I've probably seen maybe like 4 or 5 episodes of it. I remember it being always seeing it advertised on NBC, and I watched a few episodes of it, and I liked it. I thought it was funny and cheesy, like you said. So yeah,
I'm on board though, because I haven't really watched such blatantly cheesy comedy in a while. So it's something fresh. Also, there's like they have a lot of beautiful women in that show. Surprisingly, it's just like every.
Oh
episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, the main woman, I forget what her name is, but like, great. That's great.
So the real reason why Zach is watching this?
No, never. No, I'm an intellectual, thinking man, so I watch Chuck.
That's why we played Blood Rain, right?
Yes, Blood Rain, the most tasteful box art.
Classics.
I always have it by my bedside. Yeah.
Yeah, enough of that. Did you watch anything else? Any other television?
No, I'm slacking. I should watch more, but not really.
Yeah, I haven't really been watching very much either, honestly. A friend of mine, my friend Dubs, he's a college friend. Me and him, it was a tradition for a long time. I was actually talking about, before we were recording on the podcast, I was actually talking to Pestro. One of my friend groups in college, it was a couple of two friends and me. We used to watch a lot of anime together. We take turns like being like, oh, we should watch this. Like, we basically take turns picking what we'd watch next. And then after, when I graduated, that sort of ended, and my friend Dubs was like, oh man, I hope we'll still be able to watch Naruto, because Naruto was one that I'd grown up, that was like the first anime that I got into. And then when I was in college, they started airing it on Toonami again. And so that got me like sort of reignited my interest in it. So we started going through the whole show, skipping filler. So it was only canon episodes of the show. I had like a guide. I still use that guide to this day. So we started watching it, and then the other friend in the group, my friend Chris, was not super into. He just like, he got kind of busy when I was a senior, and it was kind of harder for us to like match schedules and stuff. And he was going through some things personally too. So, but always on Saturday nights, and then it turned into more other nights. Anyway, there's a lot of. We gotten back to watching Naruto again. Naruto Shippuden, more specifically. Back, I want to say, it was probably the year I graduated. Maybe the year after. We had caught up to where the anime was then airing, which is crazy to think about, because that was like 5 years ago now, like close to 5 years ago, 6 years ago. No, not 6 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And so at that point we caught up, and we're like, okay, well, they're stuck in filler now, so we're just gonna take a break for a bit. We'll just watch some other stuff, and then we'll get back to it eventually. And that never happened, because the show kept going for like almost 100 episodes more. Like, the last arc of the story is cut up with so much filler. It's kind of hard to like. I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about that, because it's like, why would you do that to your show, other than just to make money, I guess. But
I really tried to watch all those fillers, but I have to admit, I got up to a certain point, and I well, it was so hard.
Yeah, the original show has very little filler up until when the story cut in the manga, and then the 2.5 year time skip, and after that, the anime went on for another probably like close to 100 episodes of just straight filler, and I've never watched any of that, and I've had almost no interest in watching any of it.
I watched 90% of them, and I think I got up to one episode when they're cooking pasta, the whole episode, and I couldn't take it anymore.
That's awesome.
Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember they brought back fillers again as well. I remember
they did. They interspersed it a little more, because the manga, they were catching up to the manga, so they had to stretch it out a little bit more. And we've skipped pretty much all of those. I've actually heard that some of the filler content isn't really that bad in Shippuden, until it gets to the point that we're at now, where we actually watched some of the filler, because I actually appreciated kind of like what it was trying to do. Some of it's just fleshing out some of the stories a little bit more. Kind of as the story is approaching its climax, they kind of are delving into a little bit more details and stuff that aren't technically canon to the manga, but like I find them kind of interesting. But obviously, they're looking forward. I know there's going to be plenty of stuff that we're still going to skip. So we've gotten back to that. We've been having a good time with that. That's been fun, because we finished Bleach. We'd made our way all the way through Bleach, which is No, we didn't watch the fillers there. That was even more egregious. That was like we were skipping like whole seasons of a show, like 45 episodes. It's like, all right, so we're skip 45 episodes, and then we're gonna pick up at this one.
I can tell you my favorite filler episode from Bleach if you want.
Oh sure, we didn't watch any of it, so.
So they're I think it's on the second arc, and they're walking in that fortress or whatever, a dungeon, I guess, and they're just walking. And so the episode starts with them just walking, and suddenly a soccer ball starts rolling, and it hits them on one of the guy's foot, and then you see the intro, and then the whole episode is just them playing soccer.
That sounds amazing. Why didn't we watch that? And,
and it's like right after some fight or something. It's just like
that's awesome.
In like
I
the dungeon,
look
like
that up.
Yeah, definitely my favorite.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, so we got done Bleach, and we actually were really happy with how that show ended. It kind of ends at a weird spot, but we both had a lot of fun with that show. I think we enjoyed it because the author clearly is trying his hardest to make the best thing he can. He just, even if it's terrible, he goes 100% on it, and that's just something we really appreciated. Because I don't know, sometimes you can tell when an author is phoning it in or clearly just going for fan service. But I think Tite Kubo is just very talented as an artist, and I don't know if his storytelling is really there, because I mean, he basically told the same story 3 times in a row, or the same story twice in a row at the very least. Where it's like,
yep.
First it's like
it's basically the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I like him as an artist, and I'm really excited that he's the character designer for the new Sakura. What is it? Sakura Wars. The new Sakura Wars game. That's
So Long My Love.
Yeah, it's the next one. I don't know if they're rebooting or if it's a sequel to that or what exactly they're doing, but he's the character designer for that. So I'm excited about that because I think he's just a very talented artist. I think so. That's pretty much it, though. Yeah, we've been watching a little bit of Naruto, and that's been fun again. I love that show. So
Naruto kind of gets a little bit of flack, but I have a little bit of nostalgia for the series, I have to admit.
Yeah.
It's very charming. Yeah. Go for it.
It is. Yeah. One thing that he that my friend Dubs always says is like, I wish, because he's a huge One Piece fan, and he actually can't watch the anime anymore because of there's stuff he doesn't like what they're doing with it, but he's like, the one thing I wish more shows would do would be to have as good opening songs and like animation as Naruto does. He's like and I was like, yeah, across the board. There's only there's only one opening song that I don't like. It's unfortunately probably the most critical moment of the show, because it's like when the big war is first starting out, and I hate the opening. It's so bad. But basically every opening of that show, including openings that were primarily for filler seasons, are all really good. They're able to match the animation with the music really well. Yeah, I have a lot of nostalgic for that too.
My favorite one is still the rap song, Shippuden.
Oh, the first one? Heroes Come Back? Yeah, I love that. Diver is my favorite song. I love... That's just one of my favorite anime openings ever. I love that song. And Silhouette is always really good. That's like the meme Naruto opening now. Because like that was the one that that's actually right around where we are in the story. We just got past that one, but it's a later opening. But of memes around that time, like 2014, when that opening was a primary one, where that song was used for stuff. So. Because it's just like a big like hype moment type thing. So
that sounds like a good time, though.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun getting back into that again. So definitely looking forward to finishing off that story, and we'll probably watch Boruto after that. Honestly, I'm very interested in that. I've heard very good stuff about it. So, which I wouldn't expect. You'd think a sequel series to such a beloved property would be met with a lot of boos and hatred, but apparently it's been doing very well. So
that's cool. The name is kind of stupid, though. I still feel.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like if Oda made a sequel to One Piece and says like, we're gonna call our main character's son's name is Boofy. Monkey D. Boofy.
Pretty much. Oh, when I started watching Naruto, I remember it was just when the show came out. I had a friend of mine. He had read the manga before, and he was like, "Oh, you have to watch Naruto. This is gonna be, one for the books, pretty much." And
yes.
But the problem was that when I watched it, it was when it just came out, so I had to wait a week in between each episode. And I remember I watched like the first 10, and the cliffhangers, I couldn't take it. I was like, it was absolute purgatory to wait a full week. And then you watch like especially when you got into some of the fights, and it's just like one fight is like 5 episodes, and you're just like, yeah. But I had to wait for the series to catch up before I watched like all of it.
Yeah, I'm glad we did that, because we were able to watch a lot of great stuff in between, and some not so great. But I love Sword Art Online. I have a complicated relationship with that show. But anyway, what have you been watching? Any TV?
I have a little bit. To start off with something modern, I guess. So, a friend of mine, he recommended Maniac to me. It's a show from 2018 with the guy from Superbad, and what's his name?
Michael Cera?
Jonah Hill.
Oh, Jonah Hill. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's him and Emma Stone in the cast, and so far I really like it. It is so it was recommended to me because I'm a sucker for cyberpunk, and he said it's a little bit cyberpunk, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm sold. So I started watching it. I've only seen 2 episodes so far, but it's actually been really good, and I think the way that the direction the show is heading in so far, it's super promising. So I have high hopes for where it's gonna go, but we'll see. Have you guys heard of it? Because I actually hadn't even heard of the series.
No, I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
I only heard it by name, and now I know what it is.
I'd recommend it, but I've only seen 2 episodes, so don't take my word for it, I guess.
I have a habit of doing that with a lot of shows, only seeing 2 episodes, recommending it, and then everyone's watched the whole thing, and I haven't seen any episodes of it.
But anyway, so that's one show that I just started watching, and then the other show is it's a little bit embarrassing, I guess, but not embarrassing. But, I mean, it is a staple series.
You gotta realize who you're talking to here before you say embarrassing.
I suppose, but it is embarrassing because it's my 5th time watching this series. But this time, I've seen the series from season 1 to season 9, like every episode. It's X-Files.
X-Files.
Oh, okay. My friend Dubs really likes that show. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No, I'm a huge fan. So I've seen the whole thing 4 times, but this is my 5th time. But this time I decided to only watch the story arc episodes. Because I do think the first story arc was by far like the best. Because I don't know if you guys know much about the series, but basically Chris Carter, the writer, he didn't have everything fleshed out from the beginning. So around the second story arc is when it started going in a weird direction, and then the third story arc he tried to like tie everything together, and he messed up. It was really bad, and that's when the show kind of died. And but I think the first story arc is definitely I think it's great. It's awesome, and acting is great too. Mulder, Scully, like it's their chemistry and everything. It's on point. Dialogues are great. Music, everything is I think top notch for the time, because it is from early 90s, so it is what it is. But I think it's a great show though. I had to buy that. I had to buy a T-shirt actually of I saw a T-shirt with a cigarette man on the cover, and it said "Trust no one." So I was like, I have to buy this now that I'm watching X-Files again. But it's kind of like I don't know. It's like revisiting a childhood thing, because I used to see it back in the day, and it's probably a lot of nostalgia. That's why I'm enjoying it so much, I guess. But it's been good.
I had a class in college, and it was called Evolution of Quality TV, and we watched one episode of X-Files, which was a very weird episode where they like edited in they edited in this guy that was never with them all along, and they like referenced back to like past scenes. Do you remember this? There was like they acted like this new character was with them all along, but like they did like flashbacks to previous scenes from the old show, from earlier in the show, and it was like had him edited in the scenes and stuff.
Okay, was that around season 8 or 9?
Maybe, I really can't remember.
Was Mulder in it, or?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think it was like some sort of finale or special or something. I don't know, but it was a very strange episode. There was something with like an alien and I don't know.
Wow, that's very specific with the X-Files.
Something with like he was like drawing comparisons to like Donald Trump for some reason. Like
what?
I need
Wait,
it was like this is like predicted the Donald Trump presidency is what it was like. But you know, it's
The Simpsons already did that, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know which episode you're talking about, actually.
Really, I don't know if I'm combining random things. I don't know if we watched more than one episode, but yeah, I just remember it was a very strange concept where they had this guy who like tried to convince them that he was with part of the crew the whole time.
Yeah, I guess at the time it really was a step up, though, in terms of quality for TV shows. At least I felt that way.
Yeah, and like who was the writer of that show?
Chris Carter.
I feel like he was talking about it in the context of the writer and like what he went on to do after that. So that's kind of how he framed a lot of the class.
Was Chris Carter? That sounds very familiar to me for some reason. Did he do Smallville?
Oh, possibly. I actually don't know. Let me just look that up.
Yeah, I feel like I know I've heard that name before. I don't remember what context. I've actually never even seen Smallville, but that name just familiar, and for some reason that's what sprung to mind.
Oh yeah, he did Millennium too. I remember I had it on DVD. I remember it's a pretty good show. But anyway, I guess that's pretty much it for things that I've been watching. So yeah, looking forward to more Maniac and
yeah.
Primarily, I think. And X-Files is just like when you want to have that good feeling.
Yeah, that's
after a long day of work.
I usually throw on The Office or Star Trek: The Next Generation is always a go-to. That's like childhood for me. So
good picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to find this like episode that I watched. I keep a track of every single episode of television that I watch, so I'm just gonna search through it.
Wait, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, you've told me this. Yeah, you do sort of like catalog it to like.
So I'm trying to go through back when I was in college, the old days.
We watched. Speaking of that, we watched episodes of Star Trek TNG in our intro to philosophy class.
Mm-hmm.
The episode was it I, Borg, I think. A really great episode on like will and utilitarianism, and there's a lot of good stuff in that episode.
Okay, it's okay. It's season 11. Season 11.
Oh.
And it's
yeah.
Episode 4, The Lost Art of Forehead Sweat is the name of the episode.
And they awkwardly edited in a character that wasn't in older episodes into those older episodes.
Let me see if I can get a synopsis of this episode. This person says The Lost Art of Forehead Sweat is one of the best episodes of the X-Files ever made.
Really now?
Okay. That's a bold claim right there.
Oh, okay. It says, while exploring the idea of the Mandela effect, in which groups of people remember an alternate history, Mulder and Scully discover how the X-Files may have originated.
Oh, that's okay.
I remember that now. Yeah.
That's okay. That is cool. That's a cool concept.
Yeah, they had some cool stuff going on there, but that's my extent of X-Files knowledge.
That's cool. Yeah, for season 10 and 11, I watched most of it, I think, but I didn't watch all of it, that for sure. Because I wasn't like a huge fan of how the direction they were going in, I think. But I'll have to finish that sometime. Yeah.
Was season 10 and 11 like wasn't that a more recent sort of revival of the series? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So basically the chronological order of the series is basically season 1 to 5, and then there was the Fight for the Future movie, and then you had a second story arc, and then there was the conclusion of that, and then it was dead for a while, and then they had that movie they made. It took place after the events of the original arc, and then now they rebooted the series after that movie, the success of that movie, I guess. But yeah, it's a pretty linear like timeline for the show and the movies. So yeah, it's cool though. I'm glad they're still doing it. But yeah.
Yeah, I just have that theme stuck in my head now.
Oh man, I can tell you after watching 9 seasons.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
It's like,
yeah.
The first 2 seasons, you're like, all right, and then season 3, it's like, okay.
It's like, man, at least that. Well, okay. Well, here's a weird thing. I was gonna say, well, at least with like Doctor Who, they shake it up a little bit. They sort of do, but the thing is, they do different. They're all slightly different versions of the X-Files theme, and the reason I know that is because, man, I've been bringing up my friend Dubs a lot in this episode. He like tricked me one time, and he's like, "Hey, man, I've got like all this cool music that you should listen to." And he put it on a flash drive, and they like gave it to me, and he like renamed all of them, and it was all just different versions of the X-Files theme.
Oh, that's cool.
And they were slightly different.
That's really
I was
cool.
like, why do you have these?
Yeah, he sounds like a bigger fan than I am, actually. That's cool.
Well, he I don't remember. I think if I remember correctly, he actually said, "Yeah, I asked the same question when my mom sent me these. Why do you have these, and why did you send them to me?" So
nice. It's probably one of the most recognizable TV show intros, though.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I can't think of anything else that's like on that level, really. Maybe the Simpsons theme, I guess.
Yeah, Simpsons definitely.
Friends.
That's. Yeah, I guess. I don't like Friends.
Okay, so I remember now we watched he gave us like an early viewing of this episode because this was actually January 2018 when we watched it, and he would give us, because he was like a TV critic, so he would like get
you get sneak previews?
You get early access to episodes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I was looking up, I was like, how is this the Donald Trump thing? And I was like, oh, there's like a scene at the end where the alien's saying he's going to build a wall to keep aliens out or something like that. Okay.
Beautiful.
Nice. Classic. Timeless right there. That's a timeless line.
All right, video games. Let's get into video games real quick. All right? Let's do rapid fire.
Will not be long.
All right.
What video games have you played, Alec?
Link's Awakening. That the remake came out, and it's amazing. And if you've ever loved Legend of Zelda, you need to play that game because it's basically a wonderful game. It's pretty much everything you could want in a Zelda game, and really in a video game. I think, like, if you like video games, there's something for you to like in that game. Like there's one of my favorite journalists, game journalists. He's one of the only ones I know by name, and he's actually, I don't like Kotaku I read a lot of their stuff, but I don't really care for them, which is weird. I don't know why I read them so much, but Tim Rogers is one of my very favorite people. I love him. I could go into a lot of detail about some of the stuff he's done, but he did an analysis about a month ago into why it was like an hour-long analysis as to why the first 30 minutes of Link's Awakening is like the perfect piece of a video game, and it's great. He really does like a deep dive, and it's like it really just reminded me of how much I loved that game as a kid. And I mean, so has been playing this remake. It's such a fun blast from when I was 6 and stealing that game from my brother and just playing around with it. It's such a good game. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. I haven't played nearly as much Persona 4 this month, or Persona 5 this month. It's been so long since I played it, I don't even remember which one I'm playing anymore. It's been a while since I played that. I played it early on in the month. But with other releases, work's been really busy too. I haven't had as much time to play it as I would like, but I'm going to get back to that and finish that probably after I beat Link's Awakening, which shouldn't be too much longer, as I'm nearing the end. I want to say that's about it. Oh, no. I did play, a couple nights ago, I downloaded Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, yeah.
And that game is like, that's like my humor right there. I started playing it, and I wasn't even doing anything, and I was just like laughing my head off. I was like, I don't know why I find this so funny, but it is. Maybe it's just the fact that you have a dedicated honk button, that's and great. There's so much. There's so funny. I think it's funny. That's fun. I like that game. It's very simple. You're a goose, and you go around, and you have a checklist of things that you need to do. And you got to piece together, okay, so how am I going to go about stealing this guy's hat? And how am I going to trick him into doing that? It's fun stuff.
Yeah, I want to play that for sure.
Yeah, it's been a, and I want to say that's it though. I don't really think there's been anything else. Just sort of running back through. No, that's been about it. I think that's pretty much it. So
yeah. So for me, I realized video games are mistakes. So no.
Oh, you change your lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah. You know, I'm into sports now and stuff. So.
Oh. That's
oh no.
That's a game. That's a game.
So for me, I guess the main game I'm constantly playing, I suppose, is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. It's just now there's a bunch of stuff coming up now. There's one event in New York that I'm going to in a month, 1.5 months, and then there's another one in Ohio. There's a tourney I'm gonna go to. So just grinding for those things pretty much. But yeah, it should be fun. There's a bunch of guys from Toronto. We're all gonna drive down and meet up with more people. That it's kind of like a community thing at some point because people, you know, it becomes like a social thing too. It's actually really cool, and everyone's just trying to get better. And it's a good. All the guys are like older, so there's no like childish drama. Like everyone's pretty like mature and like, you know, we're just having a good time trying to get better and improve, and we're all working towards the same goal. So it's to just learn more about the game. So it's actually really fun. So I mean that's you know the primary game, I guess. And then other than that, I have been playing Day of the Tentacle, actually, LucasArts. So it's a Day of the Tentacle is I don't know if you guys familiar with it or.
Yes, I love that game.
No.
Sweet.
I played. There was like a remaster or remake of it, kind of that they did on
that's
the PS4.
That's the one I'm playing. Yeah.
Oh, so good, so fun. Yeah.
I was blown away because I thought at some point I kind of had a picture in my mind of how far you could take the concept of adventure and point-and-click style games. Because I felt like you can only do so much, really, and you know, I felt like the genre hit its peak. But then when I played this now, I'm like, it changed the worldview for me a little bit because you know, as you know, like you have multiple characters in different timelines, so you have to switch between them and move, like give items to them in different time periods, and then you solve one piece of the puzzle there to unlock something in the future. And the whole thing is wild. Like I never thought you think you have to think so different to solve some of the puzzles, and it's really cool. I never played an adventure game quite like this one, and I'm really enjoying it. Actually, it has the potential to be one of the better adventure games I think I've played, but I'm gonna save that until I've gotten further in the game. So far, I probably put in like 10 hours, I think, something like that. So. Obviously, I still have a lot left. But yeah, I'm trying to also. I'm not using any guides or anything. I'm just trying to.
Oh, that's
play
good.
Legit.
Yeah, I tried to do that as much as I could too. I think I looked up a couple of things because I just got stuck at one point. I was like, I want to get doing something else, but no, do that. Stick to it. It's stuff will come to you eventually.
I find there's usually one or two puzzles that gets you, and you're like,
how are you? Yeah, I felt like there was like probably one puzzle in that game where I was like, how in the world was I ever supposed to figure that out?
Yeah, but what's great though about the LucasArts game is that all of them are usually very well made, and they're usually like they don't have any game-breaking states. Because like some of the Sierra games, you can use an item and then you can't progress, and you have to start from the beginning. So the LucasArts games I find are usually very polished, and usually it's not an issue. So without a guide, should usually be fine, unless you can't figure it out. So yeah, so that's that. But that's cool. It's cool that you played it actually.
Yeah.
So how would you rank it against some of the other point-and-click adventure
games?
Well,
to be honest, I actually played so few of them. It's a genre that I want to play. Definitely want to play more of. I want to play more of the LucasArts one. Especially like Full Throttle. That's one that I've always been really interested in. I've never really played. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, the writing's fun. I really liked all the colonial era stuff because like I'm a history nerd. So like those jokes were all so silly and funny.
No, they're
so
great.
like, I loved a lot of that.
I think the setting and the style too is fantastic.
Oh yeah. The art is just amazing in that game. Like it's just like it feels like like an old Warner Brothers cartoon. It's amazing.
Yes.
And like that's how they were able to like capture that so well. I feel like I want to go back through that game and have the commentary on, because there's actually a commentary option once. I don't know if it's once you beat the game or it's probably once you beat it, where it's like Tim Schafer and then a couple of the other guys that worked in the game talking about it, and I feel like I should do that because I really like that game a lot. So yeah,
no, that's really cool. I'll have to check out the commentary too after. Actually, yeah. So that's that, and then other than that, I've just been playing a little bit of Hollow Knight, I suppose. But it's kind of a game that I've been having on the side for a while. I just play like an hour a week, like because it's kind of it's a Metroidvania style game, indie game, but it's a good one. Like I think I have like 20 hours so far, so I just put in like an hour here and there, pretty much when I have time. But it's when I don't have energy to play something that requires more, like, you know. Doesn't require more out of you, I guess. So it's kind of like a casual kind of game. You can just cruise around and explore some new areas and stuff, and it's cool. I like it. I think it's. I mean, the Metroidvania genre has been done like trillions of times at this point. So I feel like it's how can you innovate in such a in a genre like that? But I feel like they do bring in some new ideas and stuff, so it doesn't feel like it's a total rehash of things you played before. It does feel like it's a unique experience, and the setting is cool. Characters are cool. It's almost like you're playing Nightmare Before Christmas, but like a Metroidvania game. That's kind of the world setting that you're in, I would say. At least from the art direction, that's kind of what it feels like. But I think that's pretty much it. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Alright, so mine should be pretty quick. I only have two games, yes. And one is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which will probably be on my list every time. I mean, I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to improve. Usually my mains I was going for were Donkey Kong and Captain Falcon for a while. But really they're kind of on the low end of the tier list, so if I want to actually do well, I want to move towards some better characters overall, so I've been trying Palutena. And in relation to that, me and my friend who play the game a lot together, we went to what was my first Smash Bros. Tournament. And it was a local tournament, a very small thing, but it was still cool because it was a nice little venue where people just hang out, they play Smash and a couple other games, and they have a tournament every week. And yeah, that's like, I definitely need to go there more often because that'll be the practice I need to get better, because Nintendo's online, it's not it. It's just a lot of lag, and you really need to have the reaction times down that you can only get from playing in person, and I don't have anyone but my one friend to play against really, so I'm only playing against one person most of the time. So it will help to go to that venue and have more people to play against regularly.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely talk to people too. Ask them questions. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Because it's great because it kind of changes the way you're looking at the game too. So. Yeah,
because I'm above average at the game, but I'm definitely not anywhere near the competitive level yet. Because, I mean, I lost both my matches, but they were both winnable. There's a double elimination bracket, but. They were both winnable games, but I feel like maybe with a better character like Palutena, which is what I'm moving into, she's considered a high tier character, that maybe I'd be better, even though Donkey Kong is still the character I'm best with right now. So
yeah, it's kind of complex with tournaments because, yeah, like you said, it could be the matchup is not good, and it can also be that you're facing the strongest opponents. Like two of them in a row, you never know because the brackets are there laid out and things. And there's so many random elements to take into it, so that's the way it goes sometimes. It's
yeah, I definitely think that the experience will help for sure. And I want to go
awesome,
to I'm trying to get my friend to go with me next year at least to a Smash Bros. Tournament, actually big major tournament. mostly just to watch because I like watching Smash Bros. Ultimate and Smash Bros. Melee competitive stuff. So I really want to do that. I want to go to maybe Super Smash Con is one I'd really like to go to. It's all Smash Bros. Stuff. They have every Smash Bros. Game, tournaments for every Smash Bros. Game there. So it's really cool. And I mean, there's other ones around that have just fighting games in general too that I'd like to go to, but Smash Con's the primary one. And yeah. So I definitely think I'm getting better, but I can only playing by myself online and with one friend is only so good I can get without branching out. So I need to try to at least go there every other week is what I'm hoping to get down to.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like Ultimate so far compared to Melee and other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I was someone who really liked Smash 4, Smash for Wii U, and now
Smash 4 was great.
And now playing Smash Ultimate, it's like looking back, I can't even imagine playing that because it's like so much better than Smash 4 in like every way, especially from a competitive perspective. It's so much better. Melee, I love watching competitively. It might be my favorite to watch competitively, though I love Ultimate too. But Melee, I just can't play that well. I've tried playing it, and I can't. I'm not nearly good enough to play that game even reasonably well. Like, I grew up playing every Smash Bros. Game since the N64, but I didn't start getting even like remotely good at the game until Smash 4, and even then it took Smash Ultimate for me to really start getting a little more seriously competitive. But
I like Smash Ultimate a lot too. I'm not. I always get my ass kicked by by Zach. He's way better than me, but yeah, I love that game. It's the fact that they're gonna still keep releasing characters for it even past the. I guess it's season 1 now, and so they're they're doing the other fighting game model of having multiple seasons of characters. So I'm excited for sure. It's a really great game.
In terms of video game in general, it's like there's not much to complain about because there's just so much. And Sakurai puts his heart and soul into it. Love Daddy Sakurai. He's a great guy. Always appreciate him.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome though. I really do. I think I played most of the Smash games, but Ultimate I feel is definitely up there. Might be my favorite actually. It's really good. It really is.
And some of like the most highly competitive matches are so fun to watch. The top players, like I know Alec watched the Evo.
Oh my gosh!
Grand Finals is so good.
The Grand Finals I was losing my mind watching the Grand Finals. Yeah, it was crazy.
So good, and the game lends itself so well to that because like it'll have a lot of time a false finish, which is when it'll go to like the end screen, like oh they're gonna die now, but no they survive because the game just doesn't register like DI, which is like directional influence. When like they don't. When someone's like about to die, it's like they assume you're not going to input anything almost. So a lot of times you'll get false finishes, and it's like last hit, last stock, intense scenarios where it keeps like people almost dying, and it makes for great stuff. Like there's there's not as much of a good story as with like competitive Melee. It has a really cool arcing story with like people that have been in the scene for a while. Ultimate's still not quite there yet because. I mean, you have MKLeo, who's kind of like the top dog right now, and there are people definitely challenging a lot more now, but he's like uncontested number 1 for a while now. So we'll see if we get any cool storylines going. I know in later in the month we have Smash Ultimate Summit 2, which is I always love watching the Smash Summits, which is where they have like they invite a bunch of the top players and then the players who like place the highest in certain tournaments leading up to the event, they get invited to this one house and they just do Smash tournaments, and they'll do games of Mafia in person, which is cool. Yeah, so Smash Ultimate will always be a game I'm playing pretty much. Whenever I have free time, I'm playing that. So it's something I need to shake for sure now that the Gents Challenge is around, because I need to stop playing that every time I have time. I need to start playing these games. But yeah, there's that, and this game, Dokapon Kingdom. Do you know Dokapon Kingdom? Either of you?
What? Yes, I've heard of it, but why? Huh?
Dokapon Kingdom has been my white my white whale, you could say, for a while in video games. Pokemon Kingdom for the Wii. It's one I've wanted for a long time, and it goes a lot of times for like $80 to $100 on eBay. It's pretty pricey. And then just on eBay, when I was in my eBay addiction phase for a couple months, I went and I made an offer on, like, someone had it. The starting bid was like, I forget what it was. Starting bid was like 80 something, but you could also make an offer. So like, I'll just throw an offer out there. It was like $70. I was like, they probably won't accept, but then it's just like 2 hours later, we accept your offer. Oh, great.
Yeah, I love it when that happens. Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't have made that offer. I should have made it.
Should have lowballed it a little more. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, dang, that was on the low end of what I've seen from Dokapon Kingdom. So.
We still got a deal on it though. So.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in the best condition, but it's definitely good enough condition. Like, as long as the case is intact and it's not like messed up and the disc isn't scratched, that's all I really care about. And yeah, this game is really interesting. It's kind of like a little bit of Fortune Street, which is I mean, I don't know if you probably haven't played Fortune Street either, but
I know Fortune Street.
Yeah, it's like kind of elements of Monopoly, but at the same time it's mixed with RPG elements, which is really interesting. It's like a board game mixed with RPG elements where you like actually you're trying to take ownership of different towns and stuff, but you actually have to battle monsters along the way, and there's like a system where like certain attacks will do better than others, kind of like Fire Emblem triangle system. But it's interesting. There's a lot that goes into it, surprisingly, but there's also, you can play it with other people in a multiplayer fashion, but you can also play the story mode together, but you're also competing against each other at the same time. It's weird. So it's like you're trying to progress the story, which you'll have like different objectives, like defeat all the monsters, claim all the towns or whatever, but you're still trying to like beat out the other player or players to get those towns. And it's like they basically frame it that the person who has the most money or value overall in the end will be crowned the new king of this territory. So you're all working together but trying to be the best of each other, which would be cool if I had like 3 other people to play with, but it's just me and my brother. But it's still fun. There's like some crazy stuff, that really weird stuff that you don't see in games, like when you beat your friend in battle, which you can only battle each other when you like land on the same space, and it's usually risky because you can lose a lot. Like, for example, you can take all their stuff, basically, like any of the items they have on them, or take some of their equipment, like weapons they have when you beat them, take some of their money, and also you can do weird stuff like change their name. You can just change their name to whatever you want it to be. Some weird stuff like that. And
this game sounds wild.
It is wild.
It's like, it's like everything. It's like every genre is the game. Like,
I'm trying to form a picture in my mind, but it's.
I know.
It's hard. What's the reason why you sticked out the Wii version over the PS2 one, or?
I just like the Wii. You know.
Yeah.
I know the PS2 version's cheaper, but I always wanted it on the Wii. I don't think there's any reason to go for one or the other, but there's also what's that?
When it comes to I was just saying, when it comes to multi-plats, a lot of the time I try to stick with the Nintendo ones, just because like that's like when it comes to like GameCube, PS2 era, a lot of times the even with an instance like Resident Evil 4, where I think it came out with a little more content on the PS2, the game looks like trash on the PS2, whereas it looks really nice on the GameCube still. Right. So, yeah.
So, okay, and there's one thing I need to tell you, this instance that happened in our game. Like, a lot of times we'll be losing by a lot. It'll be like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but then crazy stuff will happen and it makes it even out, which I'm surprised that, like
Mario Party?
Yeah, but it's like there are definitely random elements, a lot of random elements, but and like you can have, if you land in an empty space, usually you're fighting a monster, but you can also have random like people come up to you and like ask for stuff, or have certain things you can do, like deliver this to some town, or like will you donate it's like it'll be like an old beggar on the street. It's like, do you want to donate $10,000 to this old man? And then it'll like transform, and it could be like a good or a bad person in disguise. It'll like run away with the money, or it could actually give you a reward for doing it. It's like different stuff like that, and it's amazing because it's like a really seems like it's gonna be a pretty long game overall, but you're like competing along the way, and it's like it's not split up into like boards or chapters or anything. It's all one continuous thing, so you like keep the money you have moving along, and I'm surprised we've been able to stay neck and neck. But there's one instance where I've never seen anything like this in a video game before, but it's like I landed on an empty space. I was losing by a lot at this point, like it was getting really bad, and he was like, do you want to accept the power of the darkness or something? Do you want to come over to the darkness? And he was talking about how like you can, it'll be great, it's a great risk, you could lose a lot. I'm like, okay. It's like, all right, if you want to do this, you're gonna have to give up ownership of all your towns, give up all your money, give up all of your items, everything you have to your name, basically. And it basically gives you god powers. So when I accepted the darkness, I went to the dark side, and I transformed into like a dark version of my character. And it gives you so many godly powers to where you roll each time that you play a turn, and you get like accumulate like points. They're basically like dark points, I forget what they're called. And then you have a certain amount of weeks that it goes on, and like it's a week cycle. It goes by days, and you get to like spend these points on different perks and stuff. And basically, one of the powers is that you can have monsters take over ownership of all towns in like one region. And so you get
we'll go sack that other region. All right, let's do that.
But it's like, no, we were all in this one region, me and my brother, and like he has ownership of like 80% of the towns. I have like a couple, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this, and basically undoes all of the ownership he has of the towns, and it overruns it all with monsters. And we're on a story mode, so this undid pretty much all of our progress, and I was like, no, but I gotta win. So I set us back to even terms. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And it'll give you like 8, instead of like the regular spinner you get to spin to move each turn, you get like 5 different spinners. It'll like give you all these godly perks, and you were like your stats in battle were like all maxed out. So I would go and fight him and just like murder him instantly, and then take all of his stuff. And by the end of it, we were just completely even. And it's like, all right, cool.
I'm really confused.
Yeah.
It's. I know.
This sounds like insanity.
So is there like a main storyline and some kind of overall objective?
There's like a loose storyline where it's like this king wants us to do stuff for him. Like he wants us to free the world of like there's these monsters overrunning these towns. So it's supposed to be we're doing it for like a noble reason, is why we're freeing these towns of these monsters. But at the same time, it's like benefiting us because you get more revenue and stuff, and you can collect taxes from your towns, and it's like a competition at its core. But there's a lot. I've never seen a game with such a strong rubber band mechanic, where it was like, I'm going to give you god powers if you give up everything you have. And then basically it was almost guaranteed to take all of his stuff. So we were back where we started. And now it's more even.
Reminded me almost of that part in Earthbound when you're playing as Pooh when he goes through the trial. I don't know if you guys have played Earthbound.
I haven't.
No, it was on my. I was actually hoping someone would pick it for me on my, because I had it for the SNES Classic. I was hoping someone would. Didn't turn out that way.
But yeah, Dokapon Kingdom. I feel like it would be crazy with 4 people. It would be so much like actually fighting each other. Most of the time, it's like
how many people at a time can accept the darkness?
It seems like it's a rare thing. It's uncommon to run into this guy, and most of the time, it's not worth it because you have. It happened to be in the beginning of the game when we didn't have many towns, so I was able to just give up all my stuff because it was so far behind. But now it's like we have like hours invested in this game, so to give up everything would not be worth it.
It sounds like a game that I should probably check out though.
Yeah,
it sounds like an experience.
You need someone to play with for sure, but like I wish I had 3 other people to play because it would be crazy. And most of the time, it's not worth the risk to fight each other nowadays because like we're pretty even, so it's not a sure thing one of us will win over the other, and you could lose a lot if you do lose. But I feel like if you had a bunch of people, you'd have a lot of fighting each other and punishing, taking each other's stuff. You'll have people coming up to you like it'll be like a hired guy. He'll be like, I can go take money from one of your opponents if you, or I'll take some stuff from your opponent if you give me some money. It's like, okay, cool. But then sometimes they'll just completely rip you off, and it'll be like, sorry, I couldn't get anything. But you just paid me 100,000 G's for it though. Nice. And just a lot of weird stuff. Like there'll be a robo. It's called a robo assassin, where it's like you pay him a lot of money, and then if your opponent lands in empty spaces, 9 times out of 10 it'll be him, and he's like 30 levels higher than him, and the stats are way higher, so it's like instant death. Crazy stuff. But that's it, I guess. September.
Dang,
short podcast.
That felt like old times right there. It was great.
An hour and a half. Ugh.
Bring it back. That's gonna be fun to edit.
Oh my god. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Pestro, and thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Cool recaps. No. I have some new recommendations now. That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks a lot, guys. This was a great time. So yeah, appreciate it.
Maybe we'll have to have you on for box art battles in the future for sure.
I'm down.
Did you watch the first episode?
I did, yeah.
How did you feel about Blood Rain being the winner of episode 1? Did you agree with that?
Oh, I didn't watch the whole thing actually. I think I watched half. Well, yeah.
Well, spoilers, I guess. But
yeah, I need to go back and finish it up. But some of the picks were, or some of the clashes were kind of interesting because it was like the ET one versus what was it? That was like a very modern game.
Ninjago.
Was it Ninjago? Yeah, maybe it was Ninjago. But it was kind of. It's hard. Like it's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough though. It's so different. But it was cool. I really enjoyed it though. It was good. I think the eternal battle of box art is never gonna end though.
Yeah.
There's always some guy that prefers something and someone prefers something else. It's so subjective a lot of times, and
that's why we need a third person from now on.
Yeah, especially because we were surprisingly like kind of in sync for most of it, which was very weird. We didn't expect that actually.
Yeah, but it worked out because we don't really have a tiebreaker, so it was just one vote against one vote at that point.
Yep.
That's why we need 3. Maybe some actual debating going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, no, sounds great. I will be super down.
All right. Well, thanks.
Alrighty.
And
all right.
bye-bye.